she was in a role of power, and her husband came home and she didn't want to step down, even though she could have took the more feminine route. And he was like, "Hey, look, just go shopping. I got this shit." So in a real life situation, shouts out to 19 Keys, very popular statement: "What you do frequently becomes your frequency." And that sounds good on like a spiritual level or whatever, but if you look at it in real life, in real times, if you're used to being in your masculine and you're a female, it's going to be hard to make that switch. Even though the narrative that's pushed is, yo, if the right man come along, I easily step down into my feminine, but that's not really the case if that's what you're used to doing. So now we're going to have to rewire, reset. We're going to have to do a whole regrounding process. We're going to have to adapt, right? So real life situations on how you react mentally is the same way we opened up with the market. Yo, if AI comes and people lose jobs, what are you going to do? The people that's going to survive, you're going to adapt to the changes that's taking place, which means you're going to have to learn how to adapt with the AI. You can't just be resistant towards it. So same thing in real life situations. Yo, if you're a female that's within your masculine, and you know what I'm saying, you don't have to do it. Now you're going to really see the person that you are in the mirror, right?
Talking That Talk official podcast where we have comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I'm your host, Juice, aka The Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, everybody? I go by the name of King Exodus. We appreciate you for tapping in, for tuning in to tonight's episode, Talking and Talk official podcast. Be sure to tap into the YouTube channel as well. More content is available. So tonight, hit you with a couple of quick topics before we get rolling. We got Apple just recently announced that people will be able to open up a savings account with Apple. They're offering 4.5% interest rate on your money. There is no minimum to have within the account. I do believe that you have to have an Apple card prior to be able to have this. I believe the credit score to obtain that is at least a 730 minimum. So
I'm good.
Great business, great move for the company. Great play for people that's invested into Apple. The bank that's financing this is Goldman Sachs. That's like $1 billion bank, investing bank. So great play for Apple. Like I said, they just really dominating the space of just taking over the world, pretty much. They're getting their hands into every single aspect of everything. Health, healthcare, just everything in general. So what you think about that? Apple offering this option for people. You know, the bank only give you like a 0.0008% on the savings account. So how you feel about it?
I feel Apple's just playing the goddamn game. You know, I feel like Apple's a genius company. Everything they're doing is to make sure they stay on top of the game and also be ahead of the curve. And people who understand their vision will become the early adapters. From what I was reading over the subject, I said, yeah, I definitely will partaking in this event. I need my 4%. I don't know about y'all, bro, but 4% can do a hell of things to you. But like I said, I'm not really surprised at Apple's move. I was looking at a lot of different things that were going on as well. Like I said, we keep talking about, for instance, the cryptocurrency, the getting rid of the people moving away from the U.S. dollar to digital dollar. I'm thinking Apple looking at it like, listen, we about to do the same. If y'all don't understand how much money Apple makes a year, trust me, they can be their own goddamn bank. So the way I'm looking at it is the same way that I think they're going to do the digital way of making their own coin or something like that. Or, like I said, once you become a part of the ecosystem, you buy all their products, the phone, the watch, the iPad, the whatever, the earbuds. Once you become a part of the ecosystem, you stay in it. So I looked at it like, okay, this is a long run game. So, like I said, I'm going to participate in it. So that's my.
And keep in mind, they got the whole healthcare thing to where they released an Apple Watch to where you can check your blood sugar. Your blood sugar. So, hey, I don't know, man. Apple looking like a good play to invest into. So,
well, you know, Apple is a titan. Apple is a titan.
All righty. So, also, Goldman Sachs reported that due to AI, the increasing usage of AI, 300 million jobs could be lost globally when all this really hits the fan and the AI really stays down in space. How do you feel about that? Because it's like right now, a lot of people really aren't following this type of information. They're not really like looking at their job or career choices and seeing, yo, is this going to be a space dominated by AI? Or are you going to have to work alongside with AI? So just real quick, just how do you feel about this whole dominance coming with AI, and how will it impact the job market?
Well, once again, I'm going to start it off with the statement I just said. Early adapters will be the ones who take advantage of everything. So don't be an early adapter. You know what is an early adapter? An early investor, a person who understands where the world is going and you're ready to take advantage of it. My personal philosophy, as people already know, I believe every man at this level, this level, this day and time and age, you need one physical trade, you need one digital trade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the digital trade is, it's going to work in your goddamn favor right now. So with everything that's going AI, I will say it can be somewhat scary, somewhat intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, you have to understand nothing's going to stop this. I just read an article right now that 65% of Walmart plans to go e-commerce by 2026,
Well,
2025. I said,
well,
God damn.
well, automated.
Automated. E-commerce. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be e-commerce, basically. But like I said, even with that alone, they're already letting you know where these companies' visions are. So like I said, there's still going to be a need for the physical trade, but the digital trade is where it's at. Like I said, I'm on my next step right now, making sure I get into a technology school as we speak, whether it's cybersecurity, data science, data analytics, to clouding, software development. Listen, you're not going to be afraid if you jump into preparing yourself for it. You're an investor. You're a stock person. You're looking at the upsells at the same time. I'm pretty sure you're looking at the process and the profits. But that's just my intent. Like, listen, AI is going to happen. You can choose to think it's not going to make a big impact. But if you got multiple companies already going down that route, major titans is one of the biggest things, then, hey, listen, it's only a matter of time.
Yep. All righty. So, our robot, we coming. Hey, we on the way. We on the way. All right. So tonight's topic, TV shows, man. You know, I don't watch too much TV, but everybody tapped into Snowfall and Power, Ghost, of course, right? So within these TV shows, you see this prominence of female energy that assumes positions of power, and they fucking up, man. Like the energy that they possess, it makes the show, it makes the drama, but it shows a lot of conflict, right? So where you have these three women within these two shows, like I said, it's really just causing a lot of chaos. So we have an aspect of Ghost, the Power show, to where we have Monet, Mary J. Blige's character, which is a very power-hungry woman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's, from day one, since her husband came home, she's been trying to find a way to eliminate him out of the picture. You know what I'm saying? Void of any chaos that transpired after he came home. It's just like a discomfort that he's running the show. So you have that taking place. That's transpiring. And then in Snowfall, we have two women. We have Louie, which is Franklin's aunt, and then we have Franklin's mother, Cece. You know, so Cece lost her husband throughout the show. Her husband was killed by a CIA agent because he was snitching. He did too much. He told too much information in public. So dude had to, you know, shut him up. And so that happened. She did a very selfish act. A lot of people say it wasn't selfish. And then you have Louis. Louis has done a lot of fuck shit. Like, a lot,
shit, man.
A lot. So we're gonna tap in on these characters to see, you know, like, do the people agree with their actions, or do you disagree? So I'll let you go ahead and do your thing.
Oh man, I'm gonna pop this off. But we can start with Monet. Monet character. You can really describe it as a woman who got a taste for power and understands not wanting to let it go. Right? Like I said, anytime a man has got locked up or he was out the house, no woman technically, you know, they looked at it like, I want to do all this shit on my own. The man comes back in the picture, she's like, I ain't used to taking the orders. Hey, I ain't used to just being on my, like, being comfortable. He said, listen, I'm home now. You can relax. Go shopping or something. When he when he said that to her, her face was like, "Excuse me,
Shopping? What? Yeah.
No. I'm used to working. I'm used to going out there. I'm used to handling business. If something got to get done, I'ma do it." But then I always talk about this in real life. You have men that come into y'all's lives. They be like, "Listen, get back, relax. I'm here. Relax. I'm used to doing everything on my own too." And y'all don't understand. Y'all be fighting the same men who be trying to make a better life for y'all because you don't want to ease up off the gas, right? And that's why it was very it was a big moment when I watched Monet, how she looked at her husband with disgust when he came home. Like behind closed doors, they was having those conjugal visits, getting it in. But now you don't want to make love to the man, and now he home in the same bed. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. That's it. That tripped me out. That's like basically, listen, fuck it. I'm gonna say that's like when you had housing. The man necessarily didn't never leave the family, but he understood, like, hey, listen, maybe this check can help provide something for the family if I step out to the picture. So he might sneak over, make some sweet loving. After that, she wanted the man gone. So, hey, listen, I want the money to stop. But yeah, well, that's cool. We don't talk about the uncomfortable truth there. All right. So that's really describes Monet's character to me. Like, it's amazing when you actually have a dominant figure come back into your life that you're disgusted by it. And I find that crazy. You know what I'm saying? The taste of blood, the taste of power is a motherfucker amongst certain people. Sissy raised the son right. I ain't gonna do too much on Sissy. I don't do too much on Sissy. But yeah, I'll talk about we'll do the comparison of the two when it comes to
right. Yes, that's a whole nother.
We'll do that later in the episode. Sissy raised did do right by her son, but there were things that Sissy started understanding, like, hey, look, I wasn't able to do all this because of what I acquired, my knowledge. But hell, let me push you to do it, and I can at least get a business out of it. Yeah, I know you're fucking up. You got people. Hey, but listen, I can do something now. I can be powerful. I can be the representative I always wanted to be for the community. I can build these foundations and stuff. But there were several actions that she was doing that was very compromising to the whole organization. Your revenge for wanting to get back, and your revenge of wanting to do things, or your ambition of wanting to be known within the city, it was compromising at times. But she didn't look at it like that. It was like, listen, if I get mine, fuck it. Yeah, I understand. And she went to a person to talk about illegal matters, thinking it was all gravy. Not understanding, and it's been getting recorded, used against her at any given time, any given will. I was like, yo, that's crazy. But now, Louis. Listen, Louis remind me of a lot of women, and Louis also remind me of women who got men on the chokehold. I'm gonna be dead honest with that. It's amazing what love
UFC
can do.
Like UFC chokehold.
Man, listen, that woman can manipulate water into wine. She can play both sides better than anybody. But one of the biggest differences between Louis and Monet, Louis will tap into that feminine energy to persuade a man faster than it is Monet being straight, direct, and masculine with it. So she understands when to ease off the gas and be soft to get what she wants, while Monet plays a role of being masculine. Like, fuck it, it's got to get done. So I definitely want y'all to peep the different characters on how they manipulate the men they are involved in. And that's also a key aspect of like how relationships that I came across from other men dating certain women. It's all in there. But that's just my breakdown of those three right there, man. You want to do your breakdown real quick before we jump into some more?
Yeah, I do mine character by character.
Go ahead.
That way I get it together. So who did you start off with? Monet. All right, so we have Monet. Monet's character, like you said, you brought up a very pivotal key. He was like, okay, look, she was in a role of power, and her husband came home, and she didn't want to step down, even though she could have took the more feminine route. And he was like, hey, look, just go shopping. I got this shit. So in a real life situation, shouts out to 19 Keys. Very popular statement. What you do frequently becomes your frequency. And that sounds good on like a spiritual level or whatever. But if you look at it in real life, in real times, if you're used to being in your masculine and you're a female, it's going to be hard to make that switch. Even though the narrative that's pushed is, yo, if the right man come along, I easily step down into my feminine. But that's not really the case if that's what you're used to doing. So now we're going to have to rewire, reset. We're going to have to do a whole regrounding process. We're going to have to adapt, right? So real life situations on how you react mentally is the same way we opened up with the market. Yo, if AI comes and people lose jobs, what are you going to do? The people that's going to survive, you're going to adapt to the changes that's taking place, which means you're going to have to learn how to adapt with the AI. You can't just be resistant towards it. So same thing in real life situations. Yo, if you're a female that's within your masculine, and you know what I'm saying, you don't have to do it. Now you're going to really see the person that you are in the mirror, right? Because a person could say, look, that person, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know, if that person would have did that to me, I'd slap the shit out of them. Okay, cool. When that person start approaching you and the situation start happening, when it's time to get in that car, when it's time to put in that work, now we're going to see how fast your heart beating and who's talking about turning around. Yeah, who want to go to church, who want to let it go. Now we're going to see really, is all this shit real or was we just talking? So she definitely represents that feminine energy that really just doesn't know how to be 100% in her feminine because she fell in love with the power. So she's running her husband's organization while he's in jail. He come home and she got this disgust, like you said. Like, why is he here? You should be in prison. You know what I'm saying? So this was the whole energy from day one. And a lot of people, what I noticed in the world of power, when Ghost was fucking Angela, all the women hate him. I can't stand him. He this, he that. Meanwhile, this woman was cheating on this man while he was locked away. And she didn't get the same type of criticism, same type of hatred. Even when he came home, she was getting ready to leave her family and the children she had with him to run off with this guy and the son that she had with him. So let's fast forward to what's going on right now. Lorenzo finally says, yo, I accidentally killed your son. It was an accident. I knew you was leaving off with your baby daddy. You know what I'm saying? But you just as guilty as me because you was fucking him. And I thought you was going to leave and all this stuff. And you lied to everybody for 20 years and all that. She said, don't throw me into this. This ain't got nothing to do with what you did. Zero accountability. Zero accountability. Zero. But I got to hit that boppity bop, bop, bop. We up back. That's out to the Godfather. Zero accountability. She did nothing wrong. All this just fell out of thin air, fell out the sky. So she didn't take accountability for anything she did wrong. And then when it came down to it, she set her husband up to get killed, right? For some shit that she actually did. I don't know how long y'all been watching the show, but he didn't even make that play. She did. So from day one, the vibe was, I got to get rid of him. And all of her actions showed that that's really what she wanted. So it's like life just really allows the right things to fall into play for you to actually manifest your reality, whether it's positive or negative. And that's what happened with her. She was able to manifest a very negative reality. So, and not even, let's not even forget to mention this fucked up beef that she had with her daughter. Like, the women not even attacking her for that. Like, why do you hate your daughter so much? Because she's a smarter version of you that don't want to be involved into what you're into. She wants to exceed the street life. So she's doing everything in her power to keep her daughter into this lifestyle that's not conducive to her. But no one looks at that. So he blames her daughter for spilling the tea on what she was doing. But once again, zero accountability. You did the shit. Don't get mad at your daughter for spilling the tea. If you didn't do it, the tea wouldn't have been in the cup. So, hey,
man, I was just gonna say, listen, shout out to the Godfather once again. He always said, listen,
sign language.
Listen, not even sign language. The mother be fighting with the daughter. Sometimes don't even
love their sons. What they say, love their sons, raise their daughter.
Yeah, love their sons. raising dogs, man.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all gotta remember, like I said, I know you was gonna go into detail. I thought you was gonna get your character. Who said that?
Mm-hmm.
During the episode, the daughter got the father out. Y'all forgetting that the daughters who got the father.
Lorenzo. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of proved. Well, never mind. I will say connections fell into play
Mm-hmm.
because she started getting around to Tariq. Tariq had the blood to the lawyer. Blah blah blah. You know how they go. So, but it proved that her love for having her dad home was that great that she put herself at any risk to get him home to a point she thought everybody would be happy to have him home. Everybody was, except the woman. The only conflict between that household outside Monet and Lorenz was his son Kane, who was just a constant fuck up. But guess what? The constant fuck up came because Monet lacked the discipline to discipline that child. In the first season, she said some major stuff. He said some major stuff. I remember in the episode, she told him, like, you know, I should put you down. And he looked down at her like, but I'm what you made me, Ma. Like, you made me like this. What are you talking about? If you never discipline somebody for constant negative action, constant roles, they roll out of control. They already feel like they're invincible. So the only thing that's stopping the situation with Monet and Lorenz is Kane has the same hunger and mentality as Monet. He wanted the throne. He wanted the throne. Nobody picked that either. Everybody else fell in line. Drew fell in line. The daughter fell in line. Them two was trying to resist falling in line no matter what. Why? Because Monet was in first command, which put him in second command. So now when he comes back home, he understands now he's bumping into a lower rank. Like, listen, that show, I don't think I understand. Listen, that show's really some real life shit outside their legal activities. We just talking about like a man coming home or being president again. And one of the biggest deceitful thing, as we're talking about the episode, is with Monet, the man didn't even know she had a child. He thought the 3 kids was just the only 3 kids she ever gave birth to. So he's appalled. He felt like, I don't know if you remember, he told her to get out the house when he had found out. He's like, damn, so you just did. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, and it's crazy.
He told her to come back home. Like, come on, man. She's still trying to do it.
But see, it's crazy, though. If you really peep game, you got to look at how they flipped the dynamics, right? You have the guy, right, that normally would be the person that's taking these type of actions, and everybody hate him for it. But they flipped it. They put it on the female, right? So now it's a whole different type of retraction from it. People not even keeping the same energy. But what's powerful in that, because I didn't even think about it, despite out of all that, Kane going to war with the family, him finding out this kid been your kid for over 20 years, at the end of the day, he still accepted her.
And told him to come back home.
And what she do? Get his stove split. Like he accepted it, you know what I mean? So that was very key, man. That's very key. And I would say really
in his life, man. I mean to cut you off. Don't forget he put that discipline in that boy's life when he went to his
he got the pause put on.
Yeah, he got the pause put on, and then all of a sudden Monet like, don't you ever do that? Like, I wouldn't have to do it if you was raising him right. I was like, ooh. I'm like, yo, come on, man.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Let's go.
And then I think another thing people overlooked is the cop. She had the little fling going on with the cop. Nobody said nothing about that either. Had the whole fling going on with the cop, man. So clearly, like I say, she knows how to tap into her feminine and use it, but it's everything's out of pure aggressive chess moves, power. That's all she sees. That's all she thinks. So that can be the same energy that gets her along her ladder of ambition, and it can be the same thing that cripples her later. Like, we don't see how all of this is going to unfold. I'm pretty sure once they find out what took place, that family going to kill itself inside.
Oh, definitely.
Self-destruct.
Did you see how happy the kids were playing dominoes, waiting on that man to get home, and she just sitting there.
Yeah. And my last point is, if you let your personal grudge with your spouse, right, and like we're talking about the feminine aspect, where you're willing to eliminate the father that's still productive and still currently there, that's a problem that we got to address within the community, because it happens day in and day out. It happens, right? So despite the personal chaos between the two, now these children have to live their life without that most important person now alongside the mother, their father. So very selfish, very selfish. We seen Tasha did the same thing, you know what I'm saying, and put Tariq in a situation to where he wanted to eliminate his father. So this whole father is expendable bullshit has to stop. Both parents are necessary.
Last thing before we move over to Snowfall is peep the difference between when Ghost was having sex with a federal agent and when Monet was having sex with a police officer. People try to say, well, Monet was just doing what she had to do. The Ghost was just fucking wrong. Yeah, that's one of the major things that will bother
me. She had to do that.
Yeah,
she had to do all that. She had to.
Yeah, I remember
she had to do all.
Was cleaning up everything Kay was doing at the same time.
Yeah, so she had to do all that. She had to take all the positions. Everything. She had to take it all. That was for the family.
She had to drop the cooch.
So she didn't moan at all. It was for the family. She was quiet.
All for the money.
Okay. I get it now. I get it. It makes sense. You put it that way. She took all that for the family. That was for the team.
All right. Let's go ahead and move to Snowfall. We got Sissy and Louis. Sissy is the sister to Jerome. Jerome is married to Louis.
OG.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all peeped this thing. Jerome loved the woman so much, he allowed himself to be consumed by whatever her ambition desired. And we talk about this all the time as men. Like, listen, if you get swallowed by a woman's ambition to satisfy her cravings, understand it's never going to stop. And Jerome didn't see it. He looked at the opportunity like, okay, listen, let's do this, and let's be able to leave eventually. During the time they were making money, Louis started looking at her past. She started with, how can you say this? I don't want to call it a whorehouse, but I do. I say like it's it definitely involved a madam there. She wanted to take over the business that she was once involved with when she was an employee. Remember what she said early on?
You being political.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm talking
Louis was on Bissonnette. All right. And we're gonna paint it clear picture.
Yeah. Louis used to get involved in activities of selling little ass. I mean, listen, we already there. And she remembered how the woman who took her in, quote unquote, they had a relationship as well. She looked at that like, listen, I was underneath your wing, but I think I can run this better than you now. So everybody was looking at the situation like, yo, you ain't even got to do this. We making enough money and doing this. Like, nah, but I want it. I need it. I put my time here. Like, imagine something that caused you so much trauma and bitterness, sour, and disgust that you feel like you still want to possess it. So, leaders down the road, they end up taking over that little empire. Now they're running the show. They run the whole building. They run the whole operation. Jerome began. He said, listen, this is what we said, men are so simple. Jerome went and got him a goddamn auto mechanic shop. Stereo systems. Cars. Fixing stuff. He wanted the most simplest things from what he was getting and also be able to clean himself up. Louis again. And listen, I got some people from out of town to be able to move. And listen, I don't know those people though. Like, we got things going on. Like I said, the more you start falling in line with somebody else's ambition, it'll either make them attractive to you or retract from you. But his need to want to satisfy his woman at all times came with a price. And I don't think people was just understanding like the roles he was falling into. It was like if he told her no, he had no backbone. I like, damn. I don't understand like people was peeping that. So with Louis, I'll more so say it's catastrophes like that that can happen if a man cannot align himself with telling his woman no. Like I said, a lot of things broke off and caused major domino effects from Louis' ambition, Louis wanting to be in control, Louis' quest for power. Imagine a woman that's telling you, hey, listen, I'm ready to go get your family doing our own thing. Hey, but if you do that, that's going to fuck up the whole operation, man. I put everybody in place to be their own bosses. I did this as a family, as a collective. This was all in the management and control and the organization to keep everybody at one piece. Like I said, one person's hunger and desire cannot be stopped. So she convinced him to cut the nephew off, start a war. Hey, listen, I ain't gonna get too long on Louis, man. Yeah, go ahead, brother. I want you to touch upon that right now.
All right. Yeah, I do my Louis thing in layers so we can bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
You said something key, like if a man gets swallowed by a woman's ambition, right? And clearly Jerome got swallowed by Louis' throat, apparently, because once you get certain levels of that throat, like it can consume a man. It can take him somewhere that he ain't trying to go. Dark place, right? So I would just simply say, like, a man has to choose his purpose. Purpose comes first. Jerome didn't really have a purpose, like that's evident. But I would say if you find a woman that aligns with your purpose and she knows her purpose, I believe women have a purpose too, then her ambition won't be a dangerous thing because her ambition doesn't put herself first completely in a selfish aspect, right? She sees the collective vision. So her ambition can fuel you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You see it on the flip side, movies like the second 300 movie to where dude and his stepsister wasn't even intimate, but her ambition was to have power, but her ambition was for both of them to have power. So she whispered that sweet shit in his ear, told him to go get into those godly waters, the primordial waters, and he came out of God, went in, a man came out of God. Even if you look at the story of ancient Egypt, where you have Osiris and Aset, it's the woman's ambition is not problematic if it isn't aligned with a collective. But if it's strictly for her, it's dangerous. So this is what we have for Louis. It's strictly for her. Everything's about her. So some women can look at it and be like, well, look at where she came from. She got abused. She didn't have anything. She was abused. She came from nothing. So yeah, of course she's gonna want everything. Right? That sounds great. It sounds like a solution, right? Poverty does that to people. But at the same time, your ambition defines your character. What you want out of life and what you're willing to sacrifice to get it defines your character. If I'm willing to sacrifice the people around me that I love to obtain whatever it is, that would kind of define me as a negative person because whatever it takes, right? So now Franklin has this mentality, whatever it takes, and everybody's saying, oh, she even called him the devil, right? So you got to just put all this into perspective. He's the devil, but you're right. So, and this goes back into another point. You don't have to like bounce on this one, but heavy is the head that wears the crown. And she wants the crown, but now that it's time for your man to die, it's time for you to lose everything. The feds in your house, everything's getting chaotic. Now all of a sudden the pressure is too heavy. This wasn't part of the game. You were just supposed to have this crown on your head and everything was supposed to be gravy. Like everything was just supposed to flow. That's not life. once you step into a leadership position, once you step into power, everyone comes after your power. There's going to be some losses that's within that route. So this is why they say you have to be careful what you ask for, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get it. But once you get it, you have to accept what you have taken because you asked for it. So getting back to the original point, very selfish individual. To undercut her man's nephew, take his business from underneath his feet, get her man to question his family prior to the war, was also a very selfish play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people can critique what a leader does wrong, but you can't really say a lot of these things until you get into that type of position and make mistakes yourself, and then you see, okay, bam, okay, I get it now. So everybody's judging what Franklin is doing wrong, but no one's in his position. So another thing I'll talk about, when Jerome packed this shit and was like, look, it's me or this. Fellas, we all been there. We've all been there. All right. More than once, more than twice, maybe more than 3 times. We've all been there.
More
right?
than 3? Nah, I
maybe. I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying. Heavy is the head to wear the crown. So when you get into those positions, if you choose anything over her, hey, self-explanatory, right? You didn't pick her. She told that man, hey, I love you, but I can't lead this right. Not now. And he said, so is this worth, is self-dignity and all this worth losing all this? And she looked at him like, yes. Like, what the fuck you think? Like he's something wrong with him. Like, he's crazy. And that hit me. I say, damn, she don't care about nothing but power. So we got to put these things on the table. We have to stop justifying the fact that maybe it's a lack of power that makes people this overly aggressive in their pursuit of power, and just simply realize, look, at some point, the shit can be destructive. And if we can easily point out a man's ego and how it's destructive and chaotic, let's have the same energy with the opposite sex. So Louis is out of line. And Jerome never stood up to her until it was too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And let's rewind. She left him for a woman.
Yeah.
She left him for a woman that abused her. And this is another part. Like, if a woman leave you for somebody that did like the real chaotic shit, or like something of like just really degrading, that speaks a lot of volume. So she left him for a worse situation, got beat up, and came back, and he left the door open. He left the door open, right? And was willing to go to war for that. Franklin had to step in and say, look, maybe I got a better plan. Like, so at every level, Jerome was willing to risk everything for her. And that began to be his demise, right? Demise. So, and after all that, she still blamed Franklin. Sign language, shame, insult, guilt, need to be right.
Right, man.
Got it.
And people forget that Franklin was the one overseeing all the situations of his demise the whole time. Like, hey man, you might want to pull back. And you know, when that feud happened between them at the intervention at the little breakfast house or whatever there was at, it was like, man, you got your head so far off that bitch pussy, you can't even think straight.
He slapped shit out. He slapped shit out. Yeah, that was it. That was it.
That was it. So people would say, well, he had to talk to his uncle like that. I was like, listen, sometimes you got to be so cutthroat and raw with the people you're around for them to open their eyes. It just comes out how it comes out. Yeah, let's talk about that situation. I want to move on to Sissy, right? This Sissy situation, when she was raising her son, I want to tell y'all right now, is very interesting. Franklin went to college. He was in college at the time. He stood the difference. No, he was when he jumped out of college. I forgot what he was doing. I think he jumped out of college. Yeah, jumped out. He jumped out of college, but he understood that the situation he was in. He understood, like, listen, where I'm at, they sell weed. Over here, they sell coke. Franklin was living 2 different lifestyles, right? He get on that bus. He able to live in a different. Able to live in a different area, see how people thrive and how people talk, how people walk, how magnificent it was. Then when he take that bus back, or his friend dropped him off, he realized how shitty his lifestyle was. Mm-hmm. Right? It was either he was gonna die he looked at it, he was gonna die in the hood, or he was gonna work at the corner store. Remember, he was working at the store for a little bit before they start popping off. Now, we know situations where you'll have a cousin selling for an uncle, selling for somebody in your family. You might not even know it.
Mm-hmm.
But what are they looking at the situation as? Well, listen, if we're in the same environment, same neighborhood, and you got at least a little bit more money, at least put me on so I can at least try to get out of my situation. So you got to remember, when you start venturing out to different environments, you start getting fueled by what more can happen in life, right? So his ambitions started growing more and more once he realized, like, listen, it's got to be more than the shit I come back home to, right? Where the first time he got coke, he didn't know what to sell it for. He didn't know what to weigh. He didn't know nothing. He was just like, I got to get it off, right? And selling weed was never just a big thing people would get robbed over back then, right? Coke, now that's a whole different ball game. That was one of them things like, listen, you're going to lose an arm, a leg, an eye, somebody will get kidnapped, whatever it is. So the way she has raised that man was to be a stand-up citizen, a good guy and stuff like that. But even he started putting himself in situations where he understood he had to quickly shape it and adapt to what was taking place for him to get to the next level, right?
Mm-hmm.
He got robbed and realized, oh shit, I didn't think you get robbed in this game. He got in a situation where another person stole money, like I said, stole money from him. We got the kidnap. He wasn't even built for bodies yet. The homeboy that was with him was the first person to catch a body. But as he starts staying in the game longer and longer, he starts shaping his mind to what he has to adapt to in order to survive, in order to get to the next level. We know this in reality. In order for us to get to the next level, we're going to have to go to different environments and adapt to things that are that are partaking, right? I still remember the situation where he was like, listen, I'm not trying to go to war with nobody. He was trying to keep his homeboy at bay, calm him down, but he ended up shooting him. You know what I'm saying? During that shot where the homeboy betrayed him to try to get back because there was a shooting, there was a little war starting to take out. It changed him for a second. Like, damn, I had to kill my best friend over this, but I didn't want more people to die. But one of the biggest parts for me was that wasn't a direct killing for him. That was an accidental killing. He was just trying to stop him. But the minute he went to jail and he thought, because they're using the same neighborhood, that he grew up with some people in the neighborhood before, they would have his back. He quickly realized when he went to the phone and was talking to Jerome and Leon, they had to school him on, like, listen, you're on your own now. You're going to have to turn up. If these people come after you, you're going to have to defend for yourself. It still has to hit to him that he has to now become a monster, basically. Jerome told him some words. He said, listen, tell his mama she stays on certain street. If anything happens, just know something's going to happen. He walked around the whole prison without his shoes and stuff and everything. After that talk he had with Leon and Jerome, he went back, seen eye contact, said, yo, what's up? Yeah, listen, your mom stay on so-and-so, huh? Yeah. Like, listen, something happened to me, something going to happen to her. They chilled the fuck out. End up getting his shoes back that same day. I was like, yo, he's adapted. He's about to transform. And that's the thing that you're not going to be able to stop anybody, no matter how good you raise them. Once they start accepting a certain lifestyle, they're going to get forced to adapt in order to survive. And that's one of the key things I just want to throw out there. Franklin was just one of those situations where he just had started adapting to his environment because he wanted more, which ultimately changed his whole character. So there's situations where Sissy was like, did I not raise you right? No, you raised that man right. But his quest for power and to get to the other side is what got him to where he needed to be in order to get there.
Okay, I got like a nice caveat. I agree, but then I still got a little God advocate energy. Okay, on the basis of morals and conduct and character, and yeah, she raised them right, and that's the best she could do with that. And during those time periods, like black people being in poverty was like the norm. Okay, but just to keep it 100, like not even though the climate has changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Within Black people having the opportunity to be in the middle class and thrive within the middle class, so to speak, it not much has changed since then. Just maybe a few more opportunities, so to speak. So just on the mere fact that he was raised in poverty, she didn't raise him right. That's like my whole God advocate to it. She did the best she could, but it wasn't enough to keep him from being in this do or die situation. So if your kid is in a do or die situation, it's because we failed as parents. We didn't provide something, a lifestyle, and continuously saying in the Black community, well, we're doing the best we can with what we know. How long do we push that? This show is based like in the 80s, right? Late 80s,
Yes,
uh, crossing into the early 90s. And it's like, okay, so how long do we push that narrative? If that was the past that they got then what past do we have now? We have more access to information and knowledge, so we can't continue to say I'm doing the best I can with what I know. Like eventually, we're gonna have to throw what we know in the trash and reset, rewire, learn new information, and build from there. So we change the narrative with education and action. So on that particular perspective, she failed as a parent, right? Of course, she couldn't change the fact that her husband became an alcoholic. Okay, she could. That wasn't in her control. But everything after that, he watched his mother pretty much be a slave to a white man. Like the white man sexually assaulted her. Like he watched his mother be a slave. En route of him seeing a duality in his perspective, seeing white kids do coke and live this college lifestyle, he couldn't even afford to maintain to go to college. So
that's what he started
right. So in so many ways she did great, but in so many ways she failed. And I think that same guilt is what allowed her to participate later because she realized her failures. Right. So it's like you couldn't save him from this lifestyle because you failed. So he's in the lifestyle. The only thing I can do now is try to navigate him through the lifestyle. At least I got some type of input. So then she started running the numbers. She was in the real estate, right? And this is where it all clicks and comes into play. The youth 9 times out of 10 becomes the leader only on the aspect that the youth has to be the leader because no one is leading. No one is leading economically or financially.
Yeah,
so it puts people into these situations where they got to grow up fast, make moves, make plays. It's do or die. I said in a lot of episodes, yo, average Black household, about 12 years old, no older, you the man of the house, bro. 12, 11. It may even go down as we get older, and we don't know, but you got to make some decisions now. Hey, put your toys up, nigga. You gotta go watch some cars. You gotta go figure something out. So this is the reality, and this is why I say this is where the failure comes into play. So she gets into this space where she's helping him build this empire, right? And then her husband comes back, and I can't knock it, but when her husband came back and she gained that trust, her husband came first, like before everybody. So she was willing to ruin her son's empire, ruin his freedom, possibly, on the strength that she wanted revenge for her husband being murdered. And this is where we got to put everything into perspective. It's okay to put your spouse first, but goddamn, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at what extent do we like cut that off? She was willing to risk her son's freedom. Pretty much, she came back like really on some what they call it in a Ghost right now, CI. She was a certified snitch, like pretty much. Like she was operating, like wearing wires, setting her son up with the whole thing in her brain that she was gonna get her revenge, which is also selfish and wrong. You know what I mean? So, long story short, her son went through all this chaos to get his money back. He came off. He lost what, $76 million, $74 million.
That's right. About 78.
Right. So, you know, Teddy, the dude that stole his money, CIA, He like, look, we'll split it 37-37. Bet. So in the very moment to where Teddy's making the transaction to wire the money to Franklin's account, she asks him. And you got a peep game. While he's trying to make the transaction, she said, hey, what prison is Alton in? Her husband? He like, I lied about that. I killed him. I shot him 2 times. Boom. Emotions. Boom. She turned around and killed him. That was the most selfish shit she could have done. Right? Because now the cycle of poverty continues. She wanted to be righteous now all of a sudden. Let's let him live. Let's you know what I'm saying? Like she was telling Franklin, let's stop. You're becoming a monster. You're doing this, you're doing that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she had a whole nother motive. Right. So I just had to throw that into the play. Now she's putting her grandchild in a position to where they'll grow up in poverty. And the cycle will continue.
You gotta sell
right?
all their assets.
Yeah. So this happens day in and day out. It really does, especially within our community. Mothers will play a completely negative role in their son's outcome in real life. And then they will find a way to, quote unquote, try to fix the situation when really you're just condoning the fucked up actions that you really set place for these actions to happen. Mm-hmm. And then try to bounce back and forth within your personal motives or agendas. So we see this happen a lot. So yeah, that's my take on CC, man.
Right. So I'm gonna ask one question. Just one question. Mm-hmm. You can go ahead and start moving it around or some more. Mm-hmm. So, do you believe when I guess a parent raised their child in poverty, then they done something wrong?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to ask.
Easy peasy. And it's not that you did something wrong. And, well, you have intent. You probably didn't intend to do something wrong, but it's a reflection. And you just have to look at the reflection for what it is. Now, the reflection grants you the opportunity to give corrective action. But if we make poverty the norm, then we're going to make everything else that comes along with poverty the norm. And that's not going to work for everybody. So.
Okay, cool. No, because like I said, hey, interpretation is one of my favorite things when I ask questions. Mm-hmm. Like I said, there's situations where I said, like first you said, she raised him wrong because he was in poverty. You have the same individuals that can raise a child right in poverty, and that child can still end up prospering later on in life. So, you know what I'm saying? I just look at it like, hey, at the end of the day, it's a child's actions, right? We can go, you and I both know we can go to the hood and see a direct product of a hood child, and then we'll find another child that was raised in the hood and be the complete opposite. So it's just like one of those moments like, well, shit, some actions are just taken upon depending on the child. But I do like what you're saying at the same time, because I do believe you only set yourself up for failure if you choose to stay there. I talked about it plenty of times where there were situations. I know people who had a chance to make advancements at their jobs, advancement for more pay, advancement for opportunity. You know what went through their mind? Well, shit, they're going to take my housing away. We're not going to get as much food stamps no more. So at the same time, I can agree with that. If your mentality was never to prosper out of the situation when taking financial aid, any type of aid from the government, then I would say then yeah, that is your fault if your child falls into that position, because you had a chance to leave it alone, but you chose to take the aid of the government. Like I said, I know people who had vouchers, housing, food stamps. What's that shit in school they used to have, like for free lunch and all that stuff? Forgot what it's called, man. You know what I'm saying? They had all that. They had all these systems into play. You know, when they had like free lunch and stuff like that, or even transportations, where they're putting in play, but at the same time, if you really want more, you'll do more. Like that's why it was crazy when I graduated. You know, I told you I went to school in Sterling, you know, dead end and shit. It was kids who graduated from that school. Like I remember, like during career day, they were asking people like, "Yo, where do you want to live in the world? If you live anywhere in the world?" Some of them was like, "Yo, I want to stay down the street." I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "You just walk to school. Like, why would you still want to stay there?" Listen, there's still people who still stay in the same buildings same house since we was in like high school. Like they literally stuck to the path of what they said. All right, listen, I wanna live and die here. And that's why I said it could definitely be a poverty mentality at the same time. But I'll also say this. It gets quite interesting when it comes to a poverty level because some people wouldn't know necessarily if they're in poverty if they're also receiving things that are nice, right? I remember some of the homies that stayed in some of the projects. They'll still come to school every once in a while in some fresh ass clothes, new Jordans, new gear. So to them, even though they're still living in a poverty level or on a poverty state, new clothes, new gear, new shit like that to them meant they were living it up at the same time. But see, that was the infatuation of just the material things and not the all around lifestyle changing and developing. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I agree and I get it. And what I'm just trying to push is
No, I like it, bro. Like, I'm
yeah,
just, I gotta do my
yeah,
part.
yeah, yeah. I get it.
I
Yeah.
gotta do my
It's
part
for
too.
the viewership. And I would just simply say like we have to kill the whole narrative of people doing the best they can and like whatever they leave is good enough, like because they did the best they could and that's what they left. Like this narrative doesn't fit everybody. Like if a man does that within society, we say he's unproductive to a particular point. Like he dropped the ball somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like we pass judgment. But in the space of her being a single parent, and that's her narrative, now it automatically makes it okay. But what tends to happen if we have more single parent households than ever? And this continues to be the norm. So whatever we make the norm, everything that comes along with that, we have to make it the norm as well. So it's like you can't be like, yo, that man is wrong for selling drugs, gang banging, ending up in prison, killing people. That's negative. He's wrong for that. But we're not looking at the conditions that created that position for him to thrive in that negativity. And it all goes back to the parental structure. So being in poverty doesn't mean you automatically fail and you succumb to everything that comes along with being in poverty, but it does put you at a disadvantage compared to other people. Now, you do have some people that don't come from poverty, right, that still embrace that lifestyle. Sometimes it's just in you. And we can't really have that conversation because that's a different conversation. We're just talking about what situations create what outcomes 9 times out of 10. School to prison pipeline most likely comes because poverty, single parent households. Everything goes back to that root analysis. So that's the problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I just have to put that in there. A lot of times we just make excuses on one end and then we judge the outcomes later. Like don't look at the thug or the gangster as being a menace to society when you made him that way. Like you said earlier, with Monet and Kane. He's like, look, mom, you made me this way. We have to look at everything. So we got it.
So like I said, let's get on the topic of Queen of Power.
Mhm.
What do you see the similarities and the dis? Oh, I mean, shoot, is there anything the similarities and dissimilarities
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
between Monet and Louis? That's really like the two main ones. I say they're the two over Sissy.
Honestly, I would think all the motherfuckers are selfish.
No, I think they
Like,
all are selfish.
uh,
But I'm saying I look at them two
Franklin,
on a completely different level.
yeah, Franklin's mom would be the least selfish.
Yeah,
I mean, really, if you really just analyze it,
yeah, that's what
it's,
I'm saying.
it's not about power to her, it's about revenge.
Revenge.
You know what I mean? Everybody else is just strictly focused on power. So that would be the separation for me. Like I say,
Also,
Franklin's mom, you know,
no,
go
but
ahead.
you got to remember, Sissy was also focusing on his assets in order for to make her dreams come true.
True, and you know, to a particular extent, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Cause like, if you look at the episode where Franklin was like, he started naming the Rockefellers, Rothschilds. You know, he started naming these powerful families, and he like, don't preach this righteousness shit to me. These people wasn't righteous. They did what they had to do to put down that family foundation, make that name prominent. and put down the money behind that name. So don't come to me with that bullshit. He like, look, whatever we got to do to make sure that the Saints, that's his last name, the Saints, right, become one of those families. That's what I'm doing. So that's just how it works. Sometimes, unfortunately, somebody get the bag, whether they do it legal or illegal, and it feeds up. You don't know about that? All right, cool. Yeah. Hypothetically speaking, talking that talk is not involved in these type of activities at all. That's sometimes what it takes for somebody to get their hands dirty, and it feeds other people opportunities, and people grow, and they put their name on it.
Well, I'll say they actually did follow the path correctly, to be honest with you.
All
businesses and assets, what they say, all signs point to real estate. Mm-hmm. Everybody say that for a reason. And also, as well as much as they praise the Rockefellers, right? Whether it's the steel company and all these other things they built, they also was part of what? Big Pharma. Getting rid of holistic health. There's also negative things that they did. So I'm also comparing them right now as we speak, because what they do, they were selling drugs, but at the same time, what they was doing, building youth communities. What is that? They was bringing communities, homeless shelters. They was doing all that stuff to rewatch the same scenes that they were creating.
Make it look pretty.
But make it look pretty.
Make it look pretty. Do dirt, but make
same people we glorify in this world. They do the same thing.
Create poverty, get back to charity.
Yeah, charity. That's fucked up, bro. Yeah, but that's really pay close attention to what really goes on in this world.
Facts. Yeah, this ain't gotta be a long one, man. I like these shows, man. I like these shows. Yeah, people don't tap into these characters 100% and get them their justice. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's justified or not. Mm-hmm. So I would just simply end it with, Ghost ain't deserve that. And all this shit going on, Ghost ain't deserve that, man. He ain't deserve that. Like, this just goes to show. Ghost did what he had to do for the family, man. For the family. For the family, man. Always the family. Well, most of it. But he did what he did for the family, man. All of it wasn't for the family, but he did what he did.
What wasn't for the family? Tell me one thing that wasn't for the family.
Say, man, the whole Angela thing, man. I'm gonna say
that had nothing to do with the bro. Come on, man.
Exactly.
The business aspects. We doing all that.
Exactly. That's why I say not everything.
Bro, come on. You talking about personal? Come on, bro. Come on now.
That's not everything.
Man, come on, dog.
90%. 90%.
Assisted him later on. Angela ended up assisting him later on.
What? Yeah, it helped him later on. That's why I say 90, 10, 80, 20. Like, no, that's a good number. It's a good number. I'm riding for it.
He hit 90% of a good man.
Hey, you get 90%, lady. Hey, you win.
He still made an A, y'all. He still made an A. Fuck it. He still made an A, y'all.
You get 85. Let me stop. You get 73.8. Yo, you.
No, like I said, Ghost did everything for the family. I don't care what you talking about. He did everything for the family. Listen, the same way Ghost built his business off of family values, Saint was doing the same thing. Until guess what? They started getting greedy and wanted their own stuff. Tommy started doing his own thing. Tasha wanted to start doing her own thing. Everybody started doing their own thing. And then you know what's crazy? He was in those same crossfire situations where, remember, Ghost had a lawyer, and every time Ghost was talking to people, everybody realized in the end he still had their best interest. It was just them and their own selfishness that they felt like giving him out, giving him away.
The Rick still ain't seen it.
So. Man, listen.
I don't think Tasha ever saw it, so I don't think everybody's seen it.
I don't even know what to tell you. I don't know, man. That dude, but you know what's funny? He's realizing the exact same stuff his dad went through. Every time. Every situation.
Eventually
he realized he can't get out. Every time. He's thinking how he gonna get out. You're not getting out, dog.
Yeah, and that just goes to say sometimes you do it for the family, and sometimes the family can be the biggest enemies you have, right? indirectly because they don't understand everything that you're doing for them outside looking in. So a lot of times you can do it, you can make a lot of tough decisions and people just focus on the decision and not understand the variables that you put into play to make those decisions. So like I said, heavy is the head to wear the crown. So for everybody that want to be these leaders and lead the family and do all these type of things, this is the pushback that comes along with it. Sometimes it's the people that you're providing for that try to disrupt and destroy everything. So you got it, man.
Well, you know what they say. Hell has no fury like a woman scorn.
Yes, sir.
And the
Yes,
motherfuckers are
sir.
in.
Hey, man. All right, man. We're gonna do this again Thursday night. We're gonna have another episode, another topic for y'all.
It's gonna be a
We
special.
appreciate you. Yeah, special as always.
Special. Listen, I got a hair test. See, I know what that means, right? I know what that means Thursday, right? Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever that means. All right, we'll find out. Hey, we appreciate y'all for tapping in, Talking That Talk official podcast. Make sure you tap into that YouTube channel. We thank you for watching, y'all.
All right, y'all.